All right. Howdy. Welcome back to the big board. You may notice that I'm wearing a t-shirt that looks like someone has given someone the bird. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to do that today because this weekend was supposed to be at the Advanced Suffered Combat Podcast Con in Dallas. And without getting into too much detail, all the familial drama in both immediate and extended family has circumvented my plans, had to cancel my hotel, forfeited my fee. Hopefully I still get my little challenge coin from the con. That's the one takeaway you get unless you score a free game or a swap or something like that. But it's a good group of guys. They're all the younger, more vibrant, except for a couple of old coots like me there as well. But it's the vibrant, fun crew. Hey, Richard. Hello, XTRG. All right. So I'm probably going to have to put my fan on because it's going to get warm in here. The air conditioner just went off. But welcome. What we're going to do today, I thought we'd just I was going to have a chat last night, which I scheduled, and this is what happens when I schedule things, which is why I tend to do a lot of stuff off the cuff, is, family interventions and issues and whatever stuff. Work was a drama yesterday, like drama. So that's the other thing that's going on in my world. So I wanted to cover some stuff on GOSS. I want to clip some counters to take Washington. I've also got the counter set here from Thunder in the Ozarks, P Ridge. And you know what? I'm going to go turn the air on. So if the six of you can chill for a minute, I will be literally right back. I'm going to stop the camera. Hang on one sec. And I'll be right back. Bear with me. All right. Hopefully, this box out of the way. Hopefully, that will stay on long enough for us to do all this. Where's the camera button? Let me adjust this. There we go. We don't need to see my t-shirt anymore. All right. So let's do this. Yeah, I did get the rules for Hano. Thank you, XTRG. Mo, what's up, man? What's with the black screen? There's no black screen. So you're 15 seconds behind. It'll get caught up in a second. I'm taking my vitamins while we do all this as well. I'm not a huge fan of taking pills and things, and I get a little fussy when I have to take them. So it's going to take me some time. Let's see. GOSS. Let's talk about GOSS first. So let me pull up. Let me close all these other windows so we can see stuff. And I'm still playing. I'm on, let's see, I'm on turn 6, I believe. Share screen. I'm doing that. I want to share an application and these rules. All right. Now, I'm going to make that bigger for myself, and then we'll zoom in a little bit. Hopefully that's relatively clear. Actually, I can't do that because then I can't. All right. So first of all, let's make sure that you okay. Archer test streams. That's cute. What are my thoughts on rap music? I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to get your shit squared away, and we'll talk about rap music later. And we'll go with that. Otherwise, we'll be punting you from the stream, my friend. Now, let's see if you guys can read the text here. That would be good to know, just so that I can make sure that we're all on the same page. And I'm going to actually get to this CRT first. Anyway, I want to talk about some of the interesting things that occur with the CRT. All right, here we go. You're gone. Hey, buddy, see this guy? You know, I haven't kicked anybody in so long. This is going to be awesome. This is what happens when you stream on Twitch. Here we go. Adios, mofo. All right, so CRT. First of all, can everybody see that clearly? Yeah? I'm going to assume you can. And we're going to scroll over here. We're going to zoom in on the J through N tables, which is where, if you're a good little combatier, you will spend most of your time. And then we'll talk about the results. And I'm really interested in the results and the spreads. I'm not going to grind on. Here we go. Looks like we've got a funny guy. Look at this funny guy. Well, that's easy then. Let's just remove that destination. All right, guys, just bear with me while I rid us of a individual here. Look at this guy. He's so cute. All right, I'm going to try. That should be the last of him, I think. Let's see what happens. And then if that is not the last of him, then we will attempt to kick him again. Interesting. Okay, that's a distraction. Let's see. CRTs. Here's what I was curious about with this particular system, right? There's basically 10 results that you can achieve. And the spread is interesting, right? When we look at these results on the right-hand side, see this results column. So the top table is the attacker's impact upon the defender. So the first number is a discretionary result, and the number in brackets is a mandatory result. So that's going to be, if we go to this section here, that's going to be a mandatory one-step loss, and then a discretionary result after that. If we go down to here, it's two-step losses and two discretionary results. Yeah, it is a Twitch twat for sure. I just closed the Twitch feed. I don't need it. I was just trying to be nice to try and build some wargaming content over there. And then it goes, 3-2, then 3-3 is the most extreme result, and it's off a D100 set of results here. So what I found interesting as I was going through the rolls, right? And if we know that 50.5 is the average number, and that's not what happens, but it's the average number. And if you look at the DRMs that can occur and all the rest of it, you're going to get somewhere between, depending on if it's a armor heavy and regimental integrity bonus heavy attack, somewhere between 10 and 20 bonus points, which is going to bump you from 50.5 up to 60 or 70 or 75 on the results table. And so if we go across, if we look at column J, which in the clear would be a 2-to-1 attack, and we really wouldn't want to be taking those odds very often, right? Not good odds, because look, on an average roll, 40 through 59, I'm only going to do 2 discretionary hits, which might be enough if you want to dislodge someone because of the way discretionary hits work. And we're going to talk about those in a minute. And did I not say the game? Yeah. So we're talking about GOSS. It's actually in the title. So we're talking about GOSS, which is the Grand Operational something series. It's from Decision Games. It's a title called Hanu, right? If we look at this result, it's going to give us 2 optionals. And if we go across to the K column, 45 through 69 is going to give us a 1-1. And then down here, so it scales across, right? Then 50 over here on the M column is still a 1-1. And then this is also a 1-1. So if we got the average roll. Now popping up a little bit higher, if we got those bonus DRMs, the die roll modifiers we were talking about, we can see that, the results will get a little bit better. But you're not, because for instance here on a 6-1 attack, which would be a pretty good attack, without column shifts, getting 6-1 is really difficult. You're typically going to be, from my extensive 4 turns of 5.5 turns of play, 4-1 is about the best you're going to get. And then you're looking for shifts, right? Artillery shifts and other things like that. They're going to bump you up columns. Not a whole lot of column shifts to be had in this game. So my point about that is that it's not a very deadly CRT. And it's also attacker friendly. And I'll show you why it's attacker friendly. Because if we assume that we have the same chance, right? The same die roll modifiers. And we go down to the defender's die roll. So the defender is going to roll every time the attacker rolls. The defender is going to roll to see what the result is going to be for the attacker. And so the defender rolls 50.5. He does that on average, right? And he has to take the same DRMs. That's my understanding. And so it's 50.5. So let's go to 50.5. Well, here he's got okay, 50.5. Let's just say call it 51 or 50, right? He's either going to take one discretionary result or a 51. If we call it a 51 rounded up, he's going to roll for that's like a morale check, proficiency check, right? So there's a very low chance. Look at where all these 50s pop up. If you can't even get to 50 on the 4-1 column on the L column, right? On this column here, you can't even get a 50. So you have very little chance of getting a negative result against you. So because over 30, so here in this right column here, over 20. No result. So now if you're the defender and you're rolling the dice and you're assuming you're rolling on average, and then you've got to apply all of these DRMs, you're going to have a really hard time inflicting any damage unless you roll real low. So the defender wants to roll super low. The attacker wants to roll super high and inflict the maximum damage. Like if you could roll a 98 and then get your 5 or 10, whatever, DRMs, then you could do 3 hits, which would kill. If there was 1 unit in the hex, it would kill it, and then you'd have 3 discretionaries, which would be ignored. But anyway, it's an interesting CRT, and it feels like it's very heavily weighted towards the attacker and very difficult for the attacker to take really bad losses unless they're making poor odds attacks over here on the 2-1 column and stuff like that. Now, I'm assuming that you guys can see these numbers clearly, right? And if you can't, you need to put your hand up because we're wasting time otherwise, right? Maybe that's a little bit better. It's just a lot of scrolling if I do it that way. So I need some more coffee. Bear with me for a second here. So I found that to be pretty interesting as I was going through the exercise. And let's talk about now. Man, my kids get all the cool drinks. This is a protein drink with caffeine. Well, that's really good. All right, let me take some of these vitamins. Okay. Where were we? All right. So that's the CRT. Now, keeping these discretionary losses in mind, let's have a little chat. Let's have a little chat about. That's the sequence of play that I found online. This is a great sequence of play, by the way. Go get this on Board Game Geek. This is a much clearer version than what's in the rules. The one in the rules actually is, to me, not worded correctly. And I don't want to poo-poo on the designer here, or the developer, whoever checked it. But you go through in the gameplay, and it says game player for the player's turn for the Germans, and it says, okay, you move and you do all this exploiting business and all that sort of stuff, and then it's the combat phase, and then it says next, it just says Germans exploit phase, right? Now, in the French player turn, it says French player does the same as the Germans. Well, that's not necessarily true, because in the French player's turn, you can also, during their exploitation, where is it? It's here to see there's a German exploit phase. That's not called out explicitly in the gameplay rules, and I'll show you. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Let's just go back up here. This threw me for, it took a couple of messages online to ask what's going on here, guys. Gameplay turn. Here we go. All right, you watch it, it'll be fixed here. All right, so German exploit phase, and the numbering is a little goofy here too, but let's just look. Let me make this full screen. It's like this. French player does his things. German exploit phase, active player combat phase, active player exploit phase. So yeah, see, there's an exploit phase there, which you're thinking, okay, after I move, I do exploit. That's weird, right? Because exploit should come after combat. Then there's the combat phase, and then there's the active player active player exploit phase. And I think that the key here is this German exploit phase should say in the French turn or something like that. Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, the Germans get to do exploit in their own turn after movement. And you talk about people reading things incorrectly. I was bitching about that the other day because I was looking at a guy asking a question on one of the system channels that are on Facebook, and it was it was really clear to me that reading the rules as they were written, what he was asking if you could do, you couldn't do, but he was trying to imply or whatever. But here I'm having an understanding issue in terms of the terminology and the sequencing. So that's one thing. So that was a bit of a beef for me. Now going back down to these results. Let's see. Okay. I've explained how combat works in another video. I'm not going to go through that, but what I didn't get into, here we go. There's all these mandatory and well, that doesn't really make it much better, does it? There we go. Mandatory and optional or discretionary results, right? All right, so it's not just me, XTRG, cool. And who is that? What's your actual name, if you don't mind sharing? Because you jump on a lot, and I appreciate your support. So let's check this out. Let's talk. So I showed you earlier on that a number is discretionary, and the mandatory hits are mandatory hits, and that's how they happen. And so the mandatory hits, you take them, and it's step losses, and there's rules for that, and that's all extremely clear and makes perfect sense. And this is where the game gets highly procedural, because you've got to go through, after you've done or resolved all these obligations, right? These mandatory obligations, which all have a little acronym, which I just don't know why we need to do that, but that's okay. Right, so he resolves his hits, decides if he's going to retreat or not. That's going to potentially force a proficiency check. If he decides to stay, yada, 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 right. And there's all this stuff. Now, we go through these mandatories, and we get down to the discretionaries. And this is where, well, there's a few unique, depending on unit type, whether it's a recon unit or not. And that's all cool. This is all great kind of, you can see how units might be more flexible or less flexible depending on the type of formation they are. The discretionary hits is where I really hit a wall for a couple of days, just trying to make sure that I was playing it right, because obviously I'm recording stuff and writing stuff up, and I wanted to have it be mostly accurate as opposed to some half-assed routine like I usually do. So let me just move this off out of the way here so I can see the wording. Right. So resolving these discretionary hits, you'll choose whether you want to stay or not, first of all. And if you want to stay, you've got to pass a check. And you've, generally speaking, going to have between a 60 and 80% chance of passing a check. Sucks when you don't, because then bad things happen, basically. But assuming that you made it, so check made and failed. All right, where is the made? Made and passed. Okay. Once all the effects have taken at least one units have taken at least one step loss. Where is the right? Here's the wording that I was concerned about. This is the thing, and this is the while it's one little paragraph here, it's really important to get right, because with these discretionary hits, you can absorb one by taking a hit. You can absorb one by retreating a hex or by retreating, and you can absorb one by taking a fatigue hit, of which you can take two. All right, and that would happen to all of the units. All right, that would satisfy one. Now, if you have more than one, let's make sure that this is where they halve the losses. I don't think it is. Yeah, so it says one hex of retreat, or one fatigue hit by all units, or one step loss to one unit satisfies one of these DROs. All right, so we got that right. Now, one hex, so it means I retreat back one hex. Here, it says all affected units must conduct a retreat before applying any step losses or fatigue hits. Okay, so everyone's got to retreat a hex, but then it says units must retreat to their full maximum distance before taking step losses or fatigue hits. So does that mean the retreat is one hex, or the retreat is the full maximum retreat, which for infantry would be 2 and for armor would be 3? Or is that the other way around? Oh, that's right. And then, or is it one retreat fills one loss, and then if I have another loss to take, I can choose to retreat. No, I can't. Here it says I can't choose. Can I choose a fatigue hit? But I can't, because it says units must retreat to their full maximum distance before applying step losses. And so this is, step losses or fatigue hits. So I got spun up around the axle on this, and I still am spun up around the axle on this. So what I ended up doing was saying that if I choose to retreat and I don't want to do this proficiency hit, I retreat my full retreat distance. And if I have any additional hits that need to be taken after that, I then put a fatigue hit on it or a step loss, depending on what happens first. But I don't retreat twice. But this wording here just blew me away. I was a little confused by it. I can take these step losses and fatigue hits in any order, which is really cool, right? Once all affected units have retreated as far as possible, taking at least one step loss, and are at fatigue 2, ignore all the remaining. I don't know how you could possibly. And so this, as I read this, I'm like, okay, there's no way that if it's one hex per DRO, it's the full movement, because if I retreat 2, that would eat 2 DROs. If the retreat was one hex at a time, and then I would still have 2 fats that I could take and a step loss I could take, and the maximum discretionaries you can take is 3. So yeah, so it's this just to me was not crystal clear, and I've asked several times online about this, and I get this regurgitated to me almost verbatim, and it doesn't answer the question. Is it one hex of retreat, or is it one full retreat and then step losses or fatigue hits? So that's that. Anyway, Now that I didn't really want to grind on that. Here's the thing that I find to be really interesting with this game. And I'm going to stop sharing screen for a second. Let's pull up. Let's see if we can pull up a couple of things here. Have a look at, because the gameplay is actually pretty interesting. Where did I get to with this? See if we can swing through some of these. I'm not particularly good at sharing the screen with my photo editor. Grabs pictures first, so we don't want that. Where is Microsoft's picture showy thingy? Open with photos. Wouldn't that be it? Let's see if I can share that now. Share screen. We want to share the application window, which is this. All right. So movement to combat is very interesting. It takes a lot of thought and pre-planning. Let me see if I can find some. Can we find some other photographs here? Yeah, movement to combat is interesting. The combat resolution exercise, while it is fairly procedural, does give you the feel for the nature of combat. The application of air and artillery shows you the benefit of suppressing the enemy before you attack them, because it gives you column shifts. The way that you can, here's a great example, right? Combat reserves. So if that unit in the background there, the 3rd Panzer, oh, actually, that's not true. That's the dude underneath, the blue dude underneath. If those Panzers weren't there, these guys weren't there, this guy, he could support this guy here in the defense because he's within 2 hexes. That would give us a 5-point die roll modifier on the percentage table. And these guys, the Germans, could also have combat reserves, units that don't move during the turn. They could provide a 5-point die roll modifier. So when you start looking at what's going on in the battle, and do I need, for instance, am I attacking at lower odds, and then do I need to have, let's see, do I need to have higher DRMs because I want to avoid that 50.5 threshold? I want to be as high up as I can. So I want my regimental bonus. I want up to 3 different combat reserves. That would give me 15 extra DRMs, plus the armor bonus. For every armor bonus you accrue, you get 10 points. So if I can get 2 armor bonuses, a difference of 2 or 3 or better, I can get 30-point bonus, right? So between that and combat reserves and any proficiency benefits and all that sort of stuff, all of a sudden I could have a 50-point bonus plus whatever I roll. That means as the attacker, I'm going to be 60 plus points, and I'm in a much, much better chance of not having a negative result coming against me. So, hey, Chewy, what's going on, man? And so it's really interesting in terms of the number of choices and the thinking that might go into some of the combats that have to be made. Now, you can't look at the stack, so you don't know what's underneath, right? So there's a bit of guesswork, but you can basically assume that if there's an infantry unit like this mechanized from the 3rd Light mechanized here, the 6.2 or 611D or 6.2D, whatever they want to call themselves, this battalion here, it's got 3 steps, 3 little diamonds. Those guys, if there was a unit underneath it, it could be another one of these, of course, or it could be an armor unit, which would probably have a defense of either 4, or actually can go up to 8, I think. And then it'll have a little superscript here, which is going to give you its armor bonus, right? And then we net out those armor bonuses against, can't see it in this picture, but let's see if I can find the next one. How did I move forward like this? Nope. How did I move to the next picture? What did I do? What genius thing did I do? Oh, I'm so useless like this. Let's see. No, let's zoom out again. Other way. I was trying to find an army unit that I could show you. Maybe I'm at the end of the stack. I must be at the end of the. Let's go this way. All right. See this army unit here. He's got a superscript of 3, right? So he's going to get. If there was no defending army here, which there's not, so it's a 0, he would have a 3 bonus. He's going to get 30 points added on his DRM, which makes perfect sense, right? Infantry defending against armor and infantry is going to be in a shit show of pain here. So it's pretty interesting. Well, I mean, Scott, you can just use the standard rules, right? If you want to carve them out and put them into the game, by all means, I think you can do that. In fact, that's why they provide them, so you can just play it with the standard rules. I'm perfectly fine with the artillery shifts, the way they work. You get a number of artillery points to use each turn on both offense and defense, and you have air points. It gives you the same net effect. You just don't have to shuffle the guys around and have them in range and have all that headquarters stuff going on. So in terms of ease of play and speeding up the play and then keeping track of ammo and all the rest of it, it certainly streamlines that whole exercise. So anyway, my point about combat is I really enjoyed goofing around with the system here and seeing the effects. Now, what was interesting historically is that these French units had penny packet formations. Let's see if I can find. That might be the end of the stack. It's not letting me have any more. All right, let me see if I can bring up another. What I was going to say, like it doesn't matter. What I was going to say is that the penny packet the weaker Renault based and other lighter tank units from the French were distributed amongst the infantry to give them some backbone and help on the defense. And what that forced the Germans to do, of course, was then they had to have armor present, otherwise the infantry assaulting both a combined arms defense force were going to be in trouble, right? So they had to bring armor to the battle. So this is forcing some of the historical play. These dudes did not have their light armor available to them, so they took it on the chin pretty badly. Yeah, I've already showed that, Todd. You missed that part. I did the detailed SOP. Yeah, and Todd, that's exactly right. This is a game where reading the rules, you're going to read through and go, oh, okay, this all makes sense, or maybe this is confusing, but it's not confusing when you put it on the table and just get after it and start rolling some dice and seeing what happens and shuffle some guys around. That's the first thing I did is I just set it up for the camp. There's only one scenario. Set it up for the campaign gameplay. We moved some units around, and then I reset, and then got started. It was pretty straightforward stuff. And it's not. Look, this system, I think it's more involved than it is complex, and I think the thing that lets the whole larger context of the GOSS system down is the really shitty rule book with the lack of examples and highly dense 3-column pages and no paragraphing and all the rest of it. Now, I guess I can open these documents back up again. But now we've gone the other way, which as Mo mentioned earlier on, let me stop sharing this screen and put this guy up. We've gone the other way with these highlighted red bits of nonsense here. And some of them are important and some are not. So important, when reading the dice, a roll of 0 is always 0. Well, that's just kind of a freaking rule, right? It's not an exception or anything else. I counted up all the importance. There's like 50 of them or 60 of them. And then there's some apparatus stuff. But let's see if there's anything important. Hexes may depict more than one terrain type. Okie dokes. Counter mix includes historical artillery battalions. Now that's an important rule, right? So you want to highlight that. I totally get that. Important. First game turn has special rules. Well, why don't we just put that in the scenario setup and not worry about a little red bit? Because what I find is I'm trying to read these rules and I'm drawn immediately to the red text, and then I'm like, okay, what does this mean? Why am I reading this? Because now I'm out of sequence and out of context. We're at rule 2.3 talking about rounding and important when calculating GA and FS strengths. Well, what the fuck are they? I have no idea what they are because I haven't got into the rules yet. I don't know what's going on. What are we doing here? Okay, let me go find out what GA and FS is. Wait. There's no, I've got to go down to, is there a table or something that talks to me about all these acronyms? No, there's not. What do you know? And then I keep going through the rules and I look and I go, all right, let's see here. Units enter the map as reinforcements, use tactical movement on game turn of arrival. Once again, that's a rule, right? It's not something that's uber important. And honestly, when you read what tactical movement is and you read what prepared assault movement is, which once again, road movement, there's 3 types of movement. And really there's 2 exceptions to normal movement. Tactical movement is just movement. And then road movement gives you bonuses for being on the freaking road, or disadvantages, the way the rules are read, because some of these road hexes cost you 1.5. Prepared assault movement is moving to combat. So it's you're gathering up your forces. You can move up to 2 hexes, and not 2 movement points, 2 hexes, and then jump into your combat, and you're going to get bonuses, column shifts for being in prepared assault mode. And exploit movement is just movement that happens in the exploit phase. So all sorts of fun stuff like that. So these red things really, and notice it's still the 3-column format. It's much clearer because things are bullet pointed, which is nice. Some may argue, should that have been case numbered? I don't know. Sometimes you can have too many cases, right? So that's a choice depending on how complex a set of rules are going to be. I've always found this line of sight stuff in GOSS to be odd, given the scale of the hexes and things like that, because it's a kilometer a hex. What else was I going to say about the rules here? So look, I think this is almost the other end of the spectrum, where you've got a set of rules that are extremely dense in one part, in one version, and then extremely almost over highlighted at the other end. It's two sets of rules, both that don't necessarily do the job very well. And as I said, I pointed out earlier on, there are some conflicts here with some of the wording, but it's all pretty minor stuff, and it's not stuff that you would need to panic about, and it's not stuff that would pull you away from going, oh well, I'm not gonna buy this game. Here's that sequence of play that Todd was mentioning. This is a perfect sequence of play. I have this on the table beside me while I'm playing. And like I said, I'm only on turn 6 here, so I'm a brand noob to this. I may be playing it all wrong. I have not yet worked out how to optimize movement and combat and exploiting holes in the line and stuff like that. There's some, I have work to do on this. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Looks like I've missed the conversation. I've been looking at these rules and talking to you guys, but and Mo, you're being a goofball. I'm just looking at these. Yeah, this is funny. This is kind of what we're doing, right? Oh, didn't I? Yeah, it's a pay-per-view. You guys will all get the bill. It'll be in the mail. So that's hilarious. Obviously, he's just bought the game. All right, so let's sort of change gears for the moment here. Let's remove this. Let's change gears for the moment. I'm now officially, we're sort of up and running in the new digs. I've worked out how to manage the air conditioning, which is nice. And I've got a game room set up that is in a state of flux at the moment. I'm waiting on, I bought a table topper for this. I'm using this dining room table that's got a big extension. So it's 116 inches long, I think, and about 40 inches wide. And I've got a couple of fold-up tables, right? And so I'm waiting on the, let me just close all these. So I'll just leave this. I'm waiting on a table topper to come because when the people moved our furniture. In fact, I had a lot of shit get broken in our move, and given that we paid like $4,000 to move down the freaking street, I'm kind of pissed. Which way is it? These bookcases. See the doors? See how the door's stuck there or ajar? When they took the doors off, when they took the doors off, instead of popping the hinges, because they have detachable doors, instead of popping the hinges, they unscrewed every hinge and took it out, and then didn't keep track of which windows went with which door, which bookcase, and then just slapped it all back together. So I've now got to take all the doors out, reinstall them, and work out which one goes where, because while they're all the same, they're not. And I honestly can't be jacked doing that. It's pretty hilarious. So there's that, which kind of sucks. So I'm squared away now. I'm waiting. So I'm waiting on this table topper to come, because this dining room table has got this huge circular mark on it that is, I think it's kind of like a water rust thing, but it won't buff out with just with cleaning material. And I got someone to come and give me a quote on refinishing the table, and it was going to be like $800 or $1,000. And so I went and bought a table topper for $79, and I'm waiting for that to turn up, and then I can set bigger games up and leave them. Because at the moment, my table has gotten kind of tacky. And I found, and even when I was at the old house, I found that if I left a game set up for too long, without a piece of plex underneath the map would stick to the table. And I don't know if that's humidity or the varnish wearing off, or the sort of the epoxy, not epoxy resin, but I think it's varnish, that wearing off would start to tear the backing off my maps. And of course, we all love our maps, right? And I was like, oh my God. So I have been putting felt down underneath the maps up until we moved. And now I'm waiting for this tabletop to come. So once that comes, we will start setting up some larger games. And in the meantime, I've been setting games up in picture frames, which I think you saw one of the pictures of when I left the window open and the OCS game got blown up. I'm resetting that up. I'm trying to man up to do that again, because it took 2 hours and I'm not excited about doing that. So once I get that table topper in, we are then going to, I'm talking to Fabrizio about Sacred Oil. And the counters are mostly done. The rule booklets and the chart tables are close to being done in terms of print run. When he gets a finished copy, what I've offered to him is, if he wants to, I'll pay for the shipping. If he wants to ship me a copy before the shipping is really ready to go, and have it sent to Dallas and then sent to us, I'll kind of cut out the middleman here and get my copy and get it on the table and get plans so you guys can see, so that all you folks that are on the fence, if you haven't bought a copy yet, or you've reserved one, but you're really not sure, you want to drop the cash on it, I can get some gameplay in and we can explore it and see if it's worthwhile or not. You know, it might suck. I don't know. It looks interesting. I'm probably going to like it, but if it's not good, you ought to know, right? So that's one way for us to get a sort of preview look at the game. Now he's got to agree to do all that. He's got to get the games, make sure that they're all, you know, done properly. We did this once before and I ended up not getting a couple of things. So I just printed them off the PDF version. So that's not a big deal. Right. So why don't I? So that's what's going on with that. And I'm trying to time my gameplays around that arriving and then me having to read the rules for a week and clip counters. There's, I think, you said there's 7 counter sheets or 11 counter sheets. I don't know how many. So I'm going to have to do some clipping. And then that's going to take some time. So I'm trying to organize that. And before that, I'm trying to run through Hanu. I want to get Thunder in the Ozarks done. I've read the rules and got my little rules summary here. Got my counter sheet ready. And I'm actually, I'm going to punch these out now and clip while we chat. And then the other thing that I want to get done, which may not happen, but I'm actually going to punch the scenario today to take Washington. I'm going to set this up. I've read the scenario rules for that. Got my little rule summary there for that guy. I've read the gameplay rules before, and it feels very familiar, similar to the Napoleonic Brigade system, just in terms of the game, the rules, mechanics, I guess. I know it's a completely different system. So before anyone freaks out and tells me you're an idiot, don't do that. I'm just saying that I can start the gameplay, follow the sequence of play, and look at the rules as we go. I don't have to study, absorb, and concretely get it in my head before I move a unit. So I've got some minor level of comfort there. So we'll be able to have a fast start for that one. So that's that. What's going on in the commentary here? Yeah, like you're getting that copy, bro. That's not happening, Mo. Mo's a funny guy. Yeah, and you know, coming back to GOSS, look, and you're absolutely right, Andrew. There are many, many different ways that we can bring out things that are important or noteworthy or different versus just saying, hey, everything's in red, pay attention. And it would be cool if it really was super important and there were edge cases or this is different from any other system you ever played before. Please note that, like the artillery units. I get it, right? But just every freaking paragraph. All right, I'm gonna clip counters. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about the American Civil War. So where is the box for that freaking game? All right, bear with me. Let me go grab the. Let me grab the box. Oh. In fact, I'm going to get both boxes. Here's the, where's the camera? You may wonder why I'm turning the camera off. It's, you know, privacy reasons, right? I may not be dressed underneath this, underneath the desk. I'm kidding. So to take Washington, right? This has 2 battles in it, and I'm going to butcher the print. That's my wife. Monocacy, is that the way we would say that? The Battle of Monocacy? I'm sure there's a special way of pronouncing that. It's an American thing. And then there's Fort Stevens, and there's 2 maps, or there's 3 maps actually. So there's a 2 mapper for Monacacy, I would say Monocacy, whatever. And then there's the Fort Stevens, which is a 1 mapper. But I thought this would be a good introductory thing to play, to see how it plays. And I wanted to do side by side, right? I want to try and play both of these systems, Thunder in the Ozarks, Battle of Pea Ridge, which I played the Battle Hymn version. 1862. And I'm curious about how the two game systems play. Now, they're very different levels of detail, and I totally get that. Let me get rid of that. So Monacacy, there you go. So we were close, ish. So I'm curious about these American Civil War systems. There's a lot of them coming out. I think if you saw the Compass catalog review that I did, there's even more games coming from Compass Games that have some very interesting game systems. And I don't know what the resurgence is or the interest is. There's really only ever been a couple of, there was the SBI system from back in the day, and then the market on tactical battles was really cornered by MMP with their regimental system and their brigade level system for decades. There were other systems around that were from smaller vendors, but they're all that like 70s and 80s type stuff. So I'm curious about this. And I don't have, part of my challenge with these is I don't have the historical context necessarily for when, where and when these battles occurred and what the significance of them was and what happened before and after. And so when I sit down to play, to take Washington, it's like, okay, this is a push on, in 1864, near the end of the war, this is a push on Washington by the rebels or by the Confederates to deal with the feds and try and, have a knockout blow. I get it. That sounds, sounds kind of important, kind of like to push the drive on Moscow, right? But what happened before that and after it, totally clueless here. And I just am struggling to find books that I enjoy reading that will give me the overview. Even as I look at the designer notes in these games, and this one in particular, right, to take Washington, the guy who wrote the designer notes for this, developer's notes, I should say, so Phil Pharr, Pharr, straight into here's what happened. Rhodes committed only Blackfoot sharpshooters and a single brigade to demonstration towards the Jug Bridge. That's the opening sentence. So no month, year, these guys were headed this way for this reason, just boom. So if you don't know your history, you need to go get your ass a book and start reading. So I found that interesting. And there's no Thunder in the Ozarks ain't much better either. Here we go, player's notes. Straight up, here's what you need to do to play CSA. Here's what you need to do to play the federal side, all this other stuff. So that's pretty cool. A good comparison of video of these two games, Thunder in the Ozarks and Pea Ridge. Yeah, Robert, that's I'll have to check that out. I've played both. Well, I haven't played both. I'm playing Pea Ridge right now. I'd be curious to just if you have want to give a spoiler alert on what that person thought of Battle Hymn versus Lutman's Blind Swords. I'd be curious to hear it. You want to share it right here? That'd be great. Happy to know. I have my own opinions on Battle Hymn. I think I've posted a little bit on that, maybe not. But all right, let's just get some counters out and get going here because I'm just going to punch everything. I know that there's two battles here, but we'll sort it out and get going, and we can chat. Let's talk. Tell me about the American Civil War. Anybody know anything about it? Tell me the context of Pea Ridge first of all, and then let's talk about the road to Washington. Hey, Matt, good to see you, mate. Welcome from the UK, my favorite tank artist. So that's pretty cool. Glad to see you here. Shelby Foote's trilogy. So, Craig, I'm gonna be honest here. I have it. I bought it secondhand, beautiful hardbound with the thick parchment paper. I got it super cheap, like $20 or something crazy like that. And that's a lot of reading, right? And I've lacked the passion to want to know more. And I'm hoping that by playing some of these games, which is kind of us about, I guess, that by playing some of these games, that will inspire me to want to read and know a little more, and we'll get it in context. I do recall trying to find about a particular battle in a particular. Let me. I don't know if you guys care about how I clip stuff or not, but I'm pretty much a hacker when it comes to punching these guys out and pulling it apart. Michael with the umlauts, good to see you. I would be curious. I found foot difficult to just go like try and find a particular context of a battle or look it up or anything like that. There we go. Okay, so that didn't work for me, and I was wondering about getting. How did that pop up all of a sudden? I prefer to find books about the battles, and I don't know that there are many, but they are so overwhelmingly detailed that it's a bit of a slog. I don't want to read a 400-page book on a particular battle. What's going on? What's up, Jeff? You're funny. All right, let me get my clippers. We'll start with these 20 units, and we'll see how far we get. Move this. Let me grab a swig of this action. Oh, Jeff, is that near you? Which is near you? Pea Ridge or see, I don't even know where Pea Ridge is. Where are the Ozarks exactly? This funny country called America. This is really good. I don't know what these things are. Some sort of protein drink. It's called Iconic, grass-fed. Well, how much sugar is in these things? 0 grams. Well, there's a win. This is why I picked it up. That is good. Now I'm just going to make a mess here. I'm not going to worry about. I'm not going to worry about my clippings going everywhere. It is a big bird flip, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's one of the reasons why I put it on today. I wanted to give a little shout out to the guys and say hi and all that because I'm supposed to be up there today. But oh well, shit happens. What can I tell you? And what else is going on? So Jeff lives at the top of the Shenandoah Valley, which is, I guess, in North Carolina somewhere. And I know there was a lot of action around there. I've heard of that before. Pea Ridge is northwestern Arkansas. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's cool to know. Well, that explains the heavy woods and the rugged terrain then. Hey, Matt, that's a really good observation about the Osprey books. I have some of those, and I should dig through them. I bought a big bunch of them online, and I should check and see what ACW stuff I have. I like that. Alan Dickinson, Virginia is where? Virginia is what? What are we? You're saying Shenandoah Valley is in Virginia? Okay, I went up to, where did I go? I went to Manassas and obviously Gettysburg. I've been there 3 times actually and seen that battlefield and had a tour, 3 different tour guides, 3 different times. I guess we'll just put this up here. You don't really care about the damn clipping. And then the Washington, obviously, and the battle of Monocacy is obviously up near DC, right? In Virginia. That would make sense. I got it. And where else did I go? I went to another battlefield. It's the one with the cliffs on the river, where the junction of the rivers meet. I went to that site, and we went to one other as well, not Antietam. I'm trying to think. I can't remember now. So, and look, guys, if you're looking for massive insights into the American Civil War, this will be the wrong place to get them. And we can just chat. We don't have to talk about the American Civil War. I just figured since I'm clipping, you can educate me, and we can swap some notes with each other. What is the Oaken Knight's view is fairly in depth, and I don't believe he states one is better than the other. Well, that would figure, right? 90% of all video reviews don't want to tell anybody anything useful, just that they're both great. Well, they both have their pluses and minuses. You should get both. Oh, well, okay. Well, it's a shame. Yeah, I think the Battle Hymn is probably a faster playing game because it's more abstract. It's certainly. I wonder if I still have the. Oh, I think I sold it. Yeah, I sold it off. So it felt very much like a updated, more graphically pleasing version of the SBI system, and I know that has lots of adherents and fans. I certainly felt it was a pretty game, an attractive game. I was it took a little while to appreciate the combat capabilities of the various types of unit, but I felt like it was a very one-sided battle and became very much a one-sided battle very quickly. So maybe that was just the battle. I don't know. I didn't play the Gettysburg battle, which I probably should have. William Shee has a great book on the Pea Ridge campaign. Thank you, Alan Dickinson. I will check that out and see if I can find a Cliff Notes version of it. Harper's Ferry, that's where I went. Okay, and an hour from Gettysburg. Okay, well, I probably drove by your house. One of the things that amazed me when I was driving through that area, because we went down to, is Charleston near there somewhere? I think we stayed in Charleston or some town starting with a C. There was a really cool old bookstore that I bought a bunch of books at. I was marveling at the terrain, and since it was a weekend away with my wife while we dropped our son off at a lacrosse camp at Gettysburg College, no less, I said to her, so look around you and imagine walking up this hill without a road, probably a trail or a track, and wearing your woolen uniform, and you may or may not have shoes, and going on the march, to Harper's Ferry or from Harper's Ferry, and marching to your next destination in this heat, right? Because it was July. It's crazy. Amazing resilience back in those days. And that's when they made men, right? As opposed to the softness we have today. It's just stunning. Here's something I'm going to share with you that is a slice of my life from my work. And hopefully the young gentleman won't see this video, because I was just kind of surprised. And my wife thought I was being too hard on this guy. But he is a 25-year-old person who works in our warehouse. And he's ostensibly the warehouse manager because he's the only guy in the warehouse. And we have another warehouse in Tennessee. And I have 18 pallets of components for product, and I don't know what's there, and no one could tell me what's there. And so I asked him to go get on a plane and go find a hotel and rent a car and go do a stock take. And he went, oh, well, I'm 25. I can't rent a car. I'm too young. I said, no, you're not. You're good. There's the rules. It's 25 is fine. He goes, well, I've never been to a big city before. I said, well, it's Memphis. It's not a big city. It's just a city. You'll be fine. What's the problem? He goes, well, I haven't left the town I'm in except to go to this other town nearby, which has 20,000 residents or something like that. So I've never been to a big city. And my understanding is if you go into a town or a city that you don't know, you should take a buddy and have a buddy system. And I went, sure, that's awesome. You should do that if you want. On your nickel, I'm not paying for you to take a friend. And he's like, oh, comes back to me and goes, yeah, I'm not comfortable going. And I said, dude, You buy an airplane ticket. You get on the plane. You get off the plane. You get on the bus that takes you to the rental car. You put the hotel or the warehouse in on your GPS. You drive to the warehouse. You work there for 8 or 10 or 12 hours, however long it takes. And then you go back to the hotel. You get in your car and get on the GPS, get to your hotel, lock yourself in your room if you want, order pizza delivered. I'll pay for it, not a problem. And then next morning, get up, go to the airport, get on the plane and come home. Yep, window. So guess who's going to Tennessee? Me. I'm going to go to Stock Take. And in fact, I called my son, who's down to college, and I said, you want to make $20 an hour? Go do a stock take. I'll fly your ass up there and you can go take care of it. And but here's what I need right now. He doesn't know all the components and bits and pieces, so it's going to be a bit of a problem. But and it may take twice as long, but at least it'll get done. Just amazing to me. And I don't. That's not a judgment on him personally, but just I recall being straight out of college and got thrown because I was the only guy who knew how to spell PC. Thrown into training secretaries and salespeople how to use a PC, a Windows like pre 3.1 nonsense, right? Whatever that was, the old DOS-based systems. How to use File Manager and how to, I was doing Edlin batch file creation and stuff like that to load software on 5.25-inch floppy disks. And they just said, here's a car, go work it out. And you just had to go work it out. That's what you did. And I'm just kind of surprised. Anyway, that's a massive diversion. Where did we get to with the commentary? We got this. Okay. William Shea's great book. I got that. I saw that. Jeff, we should visit sometime in person. I would love to hang out with you. You're a good guy for a tall person. Yeah, Mike, that's a really good point. It is almost day by day, isn't it? And it's probably an attention deficit disorder thing for me to just because keep in mind sometimes I'm not even sure what month or day certain things are trying to happen and whatnot. So it's probably my fault for not paying attention to the detail. Charlestown. All right, so let's see. Why, back in my day, we flew on airplanes in 20-foot snow. Oh, Alan Dickerson, you're a funny guy. Tony, hey, isn't it the big day? By the way, I'll give a shout out since last week I got kind of pissy with somebody trying to pimp their show on my show. Tony and the gang at the War Room having a big show today. It's the second anniversary or something like that. Apparently their wives are going to be on the show, and I think they're giving away a bunch of games potentially. I'm probably not going to make it because I got shit to do. I'm actually going to go roll dice and play games to make up for not being at the Advanced After Combat Con. So yeah, there's that. So go check the War Room out with Tony this coming 2 o'clock, Tony. Is that right? 2 Central, 2 Eastern, 2 something. I don't know when it is. I just tune in at some point. You can listen to the dulcet tones of the rough swordsman and the whiny bleating of Jester as he complains about DVG yet again. It's like his course célèbre. He wants to complain about them a lot. Of course, he's right. DVG have fallen off the wagon since Dan Verson's son has taken over. The guy's a train wreck. But hey, I tell you what, the good title that did come out from them recently was Zero Leader. And Chuck Seagate has done a great job on that. I'm not a fan of the base rule book. I think it leaves a lot to be desired, but that's another story for another time. Jester complaining, exactly. Who can imagine Jester? I mean, I thought I got hard on games and complained a little bit about stuff. Like, I've seen people as soon as I post something online, there's a bunch of guys who are GMT fanboys who like, "Oh, Kevin's posting again. He said mean things about Stevenich's game." Really? Like, sack up a bit, bro. It's not going to hurt. It's going to be okay. Oh, got to get these counters apart. They're falling everywhere. One of the things I love about MMP counters is they're, generally speaking, very robust. And so you can do what I'm doing and break them out of the sprue just like this. And then by the time you get to actually clipping the corners, you're in good shape. I really hope I'm not making a mess of this by not paying attention to these being clipped in formation order. I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue. See, this is the other lie about me. I am not mean. Once you get to know me, I'm just a cuddly bear. And I almost said buongiorno from Spain, but couldn't type with Gates. All right, what else is going on? Tell me more about the American Civil War. Has anyone got anything? Well, yes, the whiny voice is for those that deserve it. You know, if you can't handle feedback and criticism and generally speaking, I think I'm being relatively constructive with my criticism. I don't just go out and bash, folks. I hold designers that have been around longer to a higher standard than those that are new, right? For instance, I think Emmanuel, whatever his name is, from Vento Nuovo games, Emmanuel Santander, his games, I cut him some slack on his first release, which he didn't Kickstarter. He paid for it himself. He spent years developing it, and he released a block game. Did it have some flaws and issues and concerns? Absolutely. Was I a little easier on him than I would be on, say, Joe Youst's GOSS Lite game? Absolutely. Same as I would be, I need to be firm on Thunder in the Ozarks, the Blind Sword series, and Dean Essig's stuff, right? Keeping in mind that these are all my opinions and my thoughts about how the games play and how they work and how I interface with them, whether I got it right or wrong. Sometimes I get shit wrong. It happens, and that informs my opinion. It's not like I'm going to kill your game sales with one video, right? And no one watches enough for that to be an issue, so I won't worry about it. What does Alan Dickinson say? So anyway, that's my comment on whiny voices. And try playing without going OCD on the corners, come on, Alan. Clipping's fun. Look. I wouldn't have the time to have this conversation with all of you fine gentlemen if I wasn't clipping right now. Alan's an anti-clipper. He's an anti-clipper. He's being targeted by the evil Clipper clan. Oh, okay. What is this? I'm headed off to catch a quick nap before my live stream paid session with author Bernard Cromwell. Wonderful. At 4:30 a.m. That's why I'm still awake here in Australia. My goodness. All right. Adios, Andrew. Or cheers, mate, as they say in Australia. It's very hard to clip and click the mouse at the same time. There's a bunch of great authors and books. Just good point, Alan. Good point. Jeff. So yeah, Death in the Valley. I think I'm gonna do a hard full court hard pass on GBACW. It did not live up to my expectations, and that just may be a perception thing for me and some perception bias coming in there. But I did not enjoy my efforts to learn to play the game with a person who's played before, and I did not enjoy the experience of trying to grok that system. I spent more time in the rules than I did in the game. We tried 3 or 2 different scenarios, 2 scenarios, 1 scenario twice. I've watched the game played, and it looked very much like I was watching 3 Days of Gettysburg. Braxton, a buddy of mine, was playing, and it looked pretty straightforward. But as we dug into Death in the Valley, I found that there were so many little scenario-based exceptions and rules that it convoluted the experience. So that's just a bit disappointing for me anyway. So I'm probably selling that. I'm going to stick with Blind Swords and MMP, and going to try some of the other new systems that are coming out. Compass has got a handful, maybe 2 or 3 different games that are coming out. I know there's some other systems in development at the moment. So lots of good things to come, keeping in mind that I'm really not a tactical ACW guy, but it's a segment of history and combat mechanics that I want to explore and understand a little bit better. So does that mean you'd flag me on my second game? Andrew, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure what that means, mate. I might have. Yeah, that happens a lot with me. Sometimes you read. I like your logo there. Your GIF, or whatever you call it. What do they call that? What's when you've got your this little picture here of some soldier? That looks cool. Oh, Matt. Yeah, that would be a big effort, dude. Look, you know what I really enjoy right off the bat, and it's one of the things that drives context for me in some of these battles, is the great campaigns of the American Civil War. I really enjoy that system. I find some of the advanced rules get a little salty and a little over the top, rolling every turn for weather. And all these random events, and then these special rules, and to try and conform to a historical narrative gets a little much. But the base game and playing that system that way, I really, really enjoy. I want to get a large campaign up and run that on my table, probably actually after I play Sacred Oil. That will possibly be the next one. Like I think there's a campaign called The Long Road to Gettysburg and The Long Road to Antietam. And I think it's a multi-module system. And there's sort of recruiting and all sorts of reinforcement stuff. You get to bring in cadres or units from the villages and towns around the area that you're fighting in. It's a long scenario, but that might be fun to play some of it anyway, to check it out. But yeah, doing each system and each battle, you're nuts. It's certifiably nuts, right? I would like to see you do some artwork within the American Civil War period, uniforms and the muskets and smoothbore rifles and stuff. That'd be cool. Oh, I didn't know you were a Blind Swords fan, Jeff. I've not seen you play any online. Have you got videos up on that? That'd be cool to see. Yeah, Simo, this is a really good point. One thing I noticed, because I played my first gameplay, and I've only played the one time the Blind Sword system, I played Kernstown. I think it was Kernstown 2, which was the battle I tried to play in Great Battles of the American Civil War, so I could do a comparison. I had a guy teach me how to play, and so it went very, very quickly. And I didn't realize that there weren't serious rules, I think, at that time, because there's no serious rules in this one either. But all the new modules have the series rules in them, and I'm using those as my reference point, and then dealing with the special rules that come with the Pea Ridge battle. So yeah, I think Herman has now kind of got to the point. I missed a corner. Herman's now got to the point where he has basically handed off that system, and anyone who wants to build a game at Revolution Games on a battle can do so. So folks who are ACW fans, gosh, my leg's going to sleep. ACW fans, they should, and our game designers, they should use that system and build some more battles. The more the merrier, right? Great price too, by the way. Fantastic counter artwork. Let's see if we can put it side by side up. The larger counters are really nice. I don't know how clear they will be, but you can see that there. That's the MMP one that's being punched right now. And then the Revolution Games. Nice counters, larger format. They're 5/8 or whatever. I'm going to switch over to clipping that in a second. Avatar is the word I'm looking for, Alan. Yes, thank you. Geez, sometimes. Yeah, Robert. I think if you're into ACW and you get this, you can grok the system, you're gonna love it. It's a fantastic. The artwork's great and the counters are great, and I've watched the gameplay and it looks really, really good. It's just while two of us were trying to grind through this couple of different scenarios, it just wasn't clicking for us. So there's a guy who's played a lot ACW, and that is one of his viewpoints there. No, Jeff, Herman did not do the two new ones. They're actually done by different folks. So I've got one of them here. I can grab the box, but it's in the other room. It'll take a sec. We can find out who it is. Let me go get it. We'll see. Let's see who it is. Golly. My body hurts. Yeah, I picked up. There were one of the games I didn't pick up, and I need to go back and order it. Just don't know why. Stigler. Well, now you're just being mean. Now you're just being mean. You don't need a unit symbol, ding dong, because it's got the freaking gun, right? And then the little horsey tells you that it's a horse, bro. Lighten up, Francis. Jeez. All right, let's see who did this other game. Designer is Matt Ward, no less. And developers are Rob, Roger, and Daniel. So this is a Barber map. And I don't know who did the other one. Jeff. It may be Matt. I don't know. You'd have to check. 1861. This is what? Bull Run? Yeah, Bull Run. That's the back of the box there. I'm sorry, I can't see. So, whatever. And the other box one I picked up was Longstreet Attacks, Second Day at Gettysburg, which would be interesting to play this, do the larger Herman Luttman Blind Sword series full battle of Gettysburg as well. I think that'd be fun. And I also picked up Stonewall Sword. I've got that jammed in here. 2 boxed games, 2 Ziploc games. So I now have 4 of the battles, I think. And I've played 2. Actually, I played that The Devils to Pay as well. So there's that. And so I've played a little bit more. Doesn't extend inside the box. I'm not sure what that means. Richard Savage, good to see you here. Welcome. Oh man, I will take a peek at that, Jeff. I will check out your videos. I didn't know you had any there, so I'll have to see what your conclusions are, and we'll kind of take things from there. All right, I'm still clipping away here. I'm going to try and get at least half a counter sheet done before I bore that. Well, we're an hour and a half already. I haven't had breakfast yet, other than that stupid protein shake, so I may need to go get some food in a little bit. But what else is going on with everybody? Jeff, so Jeff, let's talk about your channel. What are you playing, bud? I was looking at the neighbors. I'm in a neighborhood now. It's so cute. I have neighbors. People come and check in on us. Hey, how are you doing? And they get angry when my dog gets out the front yard. The maps and counters I'm finding don't agree with me. So you don't like Rick Barber's maps too vibrant, too colorful? Is that the deal, or do you not like the new Rick Barber light pastel colored maps that are coming? Because I'm not a big fan of the new ones. I find this whole trend that's going on in the wargaming marketplace at the moment is a movement to do lighter, softer, more washed out, less vibrant colors on the map, at almost to the exclusion of, I don't know. It makes and then lighter color fonts, light grays, medium grays instead of black writing, so you can actually read the friggin' town name or the city name and stuff like that. I'm a little disconcerted by the art direction that's going on. Bug River is a great example of that. It's just everything is kind of soft pastels and all the rest of it. And if the counters are bold and vibrant and contrast to the map, it's great. But when you put them all on, often it all just blends together, and you're like, "Whoa, where's my stuff?" I'm not a huge fan of that. Große Deutschland, Panzer, the battle for Kursk, and I'm setting up campaign for. So now is Große Deutschland, is that an old game that you bought, dude, or is that a BCS title? Is that Panzer's Last Stand thing? Or what is that system that you're talking about for the Große Deutschland? Because I'd be curious about that. And have you played TCS's Große Deutschland 42? Because that's a great little battle. That's not after. That may not be after Kursk. I'm not sure when that is actually. Remind you of the movie Lord of the Rings, or the book Lord of the Rings, or the game Lord of the Rings? Stig, we're going to have to get a little more specific here, bud. And otherwise, we're going to have to start calling you out on shit. Well, Mo, artists shouldn't here. Okay, all right. Let's have a fucking discussion about this bullshit right here. Okay, artists should not be following trends they see elsewhere. Full stop. If you're an artist, the whole point of being an artist is that you're different and you're iconic and you're unique, and you should do your style your way. Picasso didn't follow fucking trends, all right? And just because you're a map artist doesn't mean you can't be a Picasso of the maps. So call bullshit on that. They shouldn't do that. And whoever started it needs to kick up the ass. Tell you what, that's one thing I love about Simonich's maps and the map artwork coming from the actual war games that GMT on the rare occasion produces. The map art for those is kind of classical SPI kind of style. It's kind of clean and spare, but it's crisp and tight, right? And it's got a lot going for it. So I like that a lot versus some of these other companies that are doing stuff. All right, I need to pause for 1 second. I'm going to be right back. Bear with me. Got to mute the camera as well. I'm back. And to help the wife with the groceries, right? You gotta be a good husband so that I can get and come in here and hang out and not have to deal with other people's bullshit. So let's see. Where do we get to? Agreed, artists should be doing their own thing, but to get more jobs, they follow trends. Yes, well, that just sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. So, for instance, Matt, here's a really good point. Make your own style and make it unique, and you have done that. And there are sometimes I look at some of the images you draw, the early drafts, and I go, "Oh, well, what is Matt doing there? I'm not sure I like that." And then when I see the finished product, I was like, "Wow, that's amazing!" Right? You're not defaulting to the GMT top-down view of a tank, for instance, in what's that tank duel game they're doing, or whatever the case may be, or even worse, MBT, right? The Panzer system, where every counter is the same format, same style. Which it has to be across the. Excuse me, it has to be across the system, but it's just pretty generic, right? It's not like they really invested in the artwork there. It may have been a lot of work, I don't know, but I was not super impressed with it in general, and certainly cannot stand the maps. They're functional at best. So. And I'm not necessarily saying that we need to have everything be the same, right? I mean, but I like the GMT. Generally speaking, I like the GMT hex and counter maps because you can tell Simonich has had his little hand put on it, and he likes a certain style. But I think look at the Sekigahara maps, gorgeous and thematic. It immerses you immediately into the Japanese ethos. It's fantastic. Yeah, look, and I like Simonson. Red did the best he could with the color palette he had available, and he made everything crisp and clean and understandable and decipherable. I think we've kind of moved on from that, though, and there are folks that can do more with a palette and do more with textures, and there's some companies that exploring 3D representations on the map. I don't mind those, as long as they're done right and done tastefully. I think there's a wide world of artistic style and palette choices and icons that can be used, and color coordination on the counters and things like that, and the blending of the counters and the maps together to make it a pleasing experience. It's cool that there's lots of choices there. I respect the folks that want to do the pale palette, soft pastels and all that sort of stuff. That's their choice. But if you're just going to jump on the bandwagon and follow along, I think that's a mistake, because you're selling yourself short. And maybe that's a direction from the designer or the publisher who's saying, "Hey, you need to do it this way because that's the way everyone's doing it right now." We're almost done. Half a counter sheet of clipping. I'm moving pretty slow here, but we'll do what we can do. What is Mo saying? It's not too difficult to break down Bug River. It's a game that great combat system for the action. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So that's the thing right here. Information design, right? Way back in the day, I used to work in the business intelligence or data analytics field and data representation. So we collect huge multi-dimensional data models, lots of data, and put it into models. And presenting that data was always a challenge, even back in the the Windows XP days and stuff like that. Having the graphical capability and the tools to allow you to do custom dynamic artwork and information presentation was a challenge. And I would always be fighting with the technical salespeople and technical support people about, no, that's not what the customer is going to want to see. That's not how they want the information presented to them, right? So UI, customer experience design, is really important for the world in general, but in game design in particular, it can make or break a game. And let's look at, looking at the Hadoop counters. There's a lot of information on those counters. It's pretty well done. It could probably have used some tweaks, but it wanted to stay true to the original system. I guess they kind of stuck with that format now. But then I look at these counters here from the Blind Sword system, and they're artistic and they're functional. And I think that had some value. They made some choices here in this design that were good. I like it. What else we got going on? Boom. Yeah, and here's Michael's comment, which is absolutely 100% accurate. And I think there's who did and it's this kind of, where this soft palette stuff comes from, I think, is the Japanese. I think the Japanese Yasuhiro, I met him once. He likes the softer palettes, but he also changes up the fonts on the counters so that they pop more. And I think The Last Stand Moscow is an example of where he went too far with the map and the counter integration and the usability. I wasn't a fan of the map at all in that game. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I haven't got it back to the table recently, despite I think the game's good, but I'm not sure that it does itself any favors with the artwork. Subjective. Yes, we are all subjective, aren't we? Well, you guys are just cranking through here. I'm behind. Oh, you're spoiled, dude. I wanted to get those. I also wanted to get some of his Napoleonic maps too, but I didn't. I think they'll probably still sell them. I think the wife. Oh no, that's right. He's not married. He has a very sad life story. So I'm not sure we'll see any more production from his artwork at all. Oh, Stiegler's on a rampage. Here he goes. Come on, Alan. I can see you getting all wound up here, bro. Bro, he's jumping on the Baba bandwagon. Heathwell. Hey, man, you've been doing some great stuff. Thanks for dropping in and saying hi. I've been following your activity on the Consim community page, and you are doing some really good things. So keep up the good work. And I am having a hard time keeping up with all this stuff. And Kibler's maps are good too. Yeah, I like Kibler. Oh, you're saying these counters not as good as the GCACW ones? Yeah, I would have to go get Death Valley out. I really can't be bothered. I'll check it out later. Yeah, these. I mean, I'm certainly not saying that these are awesome. I think these are okay. They're MMP counters. They kind of tend towards the information on a counter, and that's it style. Except for TCS, they've gone to the sort of icons and things like that. That are little avatars of the units. So yeah, it is what it is. Oh, and here's I'm going to bring this up here because I want Alan to get it off his chest here, right? Just get it out there, bud. Breathing, it's okay. Breathing. I am a huge nerd when it comes to OCS and TCS. I'm going to be a big fanboy of them forever. So I know you don't like their maps as well. I guess I've just gotten used to their maps. I find them functionally okay. There we go. They're jumping on the bandwagon. Oh my gosh. Well, and Nathan, that's a good point. But that's a different designer too, right? So they have their own style, and they're not going to let Dean in. Really, it's not MMP. It's the Gamers, right? It's the old Gamers company, Dean Essig's design metaphor. And look, these guys go and do this research on a geographical area. So you look at the series of games that have come out recently. So there's OCS, there's BCS, and there's SCS, and let's put TCS to one side. And they go do the map research, and they have all the same details on the maps. And it's just depending on whether it's zoomed in or zoomed out, telescoped in, telescoped out. And they add incremental details as they go forward from there. Or if they zoom in, they have more detail, but it's the same palette, same color. So they're reusing, which is smart, right? They're reusing the content that they have over and over again. So they don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. It's kind of smart, and same color scheme, same palettes for all those map systems. I think the TCS stuff's a little bit different, just certainly in terms of color palette. Anyway, they're a lot richer and more interesting, and have evolved a lot over time as well. So I'll give them credit for that. Well, we all know that Stig loves the DG. He's a huge DG fan, and he's just a fanboy, and is never going to let that go. I have not seen a lot of iVictor stuff just because I can't be bothered with the half-assed translations that go on unless they've improved in recent times. I have avoided iVictor's games, and I find most of them pretty ordinary to play. I've got a buddy who plays a lot of them, and he keeps buying them expecting something to change, and they don't. So who we got there? Charles Latorra, bada boom, bada bing. Good to see you. All right. Stigler's on a mission, everyone. He's his other greatest pet peeve at the moment. I did not know that. Well, there you go. And that probably explains why the maps, look, they're functional, right? You can't say they're not. They work, and he can reuse that artwork to the cows come home and zoom in and out of the detail and go for it from there. That's why you're seeing, you'll see the third Hungarian Rhapsody, the Third Winter, Panzer's Last Stand, what's that other? There's an SCS title around the same time period. So they're doing them all in chunks because they can get the artwork together, get the OBs together for everybody, and they can all be relatively. There's a lot of time saving there. Now I know that Carl Fung goes and does all the incremental additional research, but all that goes into, I'm assuming it goes into a library that can be used, right? I'm sure he gets paid to do it again if he needs to, but because of the scale differences, right? I still think it's interesting. All right, last two counters. Here we go. Well, interesting discussion. We kind of meandered around a little bit. We started with me talking to you about kind of what's coming up on the table and the move into this new abode and the gaming space and the table space and the challenges with the table. Ooh, I found another counter. And then we talked about the GOSS combat results table fairly significantly and looked at discretionary results in combat, which was cool. And then we had a long chat about ACW, which I think is pretty fascinating. You guys know lots more than I do, but I'm about to get myself educated on ACW stuff. So this has been very interesting. All right, shall we punch the P Ridge, Thunder, and the Ozarks counters? Let's see how they come out. Will they come out nice? What else we got here? I'm not even gonna. I see Stigler's comment, and I'm not even gonna put you up on the screen, Stigs. Butt ugly. That's rude. You heard that. You're an anti-butt person. I know. All right. What else is going on here? So I think I'm done, guys. I'm going to go punch some more counters. I'm probably going to actually go sit outside and do it because it's too nice outside right now. And I'm going to let you guys do your thing. So you guys all take care. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks for hanging out with me and clipping counters. Later.